Now it's the 7th of June with Denis O'Neill. Thanks, Dennis. I'm writing these here beside you if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Thank you. Okay, so you were a fisherman, Dennis?
Yeah, I fished. Yeah, I fished in the river. I started going onto the Shannon River with my own father and Willie Keys, who they used to fish together, drift fishing.
Okay.
So I was going down there from the age of 8, so I was 78, 79. It was the first time I was introduced to the fishing scene. And after that, then I was starting to fish with my own father, I would say, or Willie, whichever the case was, from 13 years of age on. So yeah, so I basically from that in right up to the time.
Very young though, isn't it?
Well, you'd always be introduced. You wouldn't actually be fishing with him at that particular stage. You'd be in the bow of the boat, as we call it, the front of the boat.
Right.
You'd be sitting down there for the day, like, or whatever the case was, or maybe a half tide, which would be 4 hours. We say, or we used to call it. You would say your tides. Your tides are basically every 6 hours you would tide. But what they used to do kind of a half tide. They called it kind of a 4 hour tide. That's what they used to do. So they might take up the last 3 hours of the coming tide.
Okay.
And we'll say at the top of the tide in they do the first hour of it off. Basically what they call it, the first hour going away. So that's what they used to call it, half tide.
Okay.
So you get to do that for the first couple of years with them. So it wasn't so long, you weren't all day on the boat.
Yeah.
And once you started fishing away then with them on the basis of, we'll say, yourself, well, you could go down for what we call low water, which is the lowest part of the tide. So you'd be fishing. You'd fish from maybe 2.5 hours or 3 hours before that particular time, and you'd fish from there then right up to the top of the tide, which could be 13, 14 hours in the river.
Okay.
Depending how good fishing would be or whatever the case would be like.
Right, so when did you start off actually fishing?
I'd say 1983 was my first time actually fishing properly.
Your first,
yeah.
And how old were you then?
13.
13, okay. Yeah. And before then you were on the boat, but you weren't.
You wouldn't have been fishing, yeah. You wouldn't have been physically strong enough to probe the net, and you definitely wouldn't be strong enough to row the boat.
Okay.
So that you were just showing how it was done. Basically, I was a netman. I would just let off the net and bring the net in. That was my job. I would say. So you physically wouldn't have been strong enough at 8, 9, 10, 11 years of age to do it.
So what did you have to do when you say let the net off?
You basically had to put the net out into the water. We'll say, you had a buoy on one side, what we call a cock line and a lead line. Basically, is what you have. Cock line floats, obviously, and the lead line is what goes down. That keeps the net open. So you'd let off a couple of handfuls of that, and your oarsman then he'd be pulling towards the bank or whatever direction it will say it would be going. And once you start to let off a bit of it, then you can let go of the lead line and just hold the cock line and just feed it out. Just keep feeding it out off the boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how deep would the water be?
We'll say I don't know what the exact depths of the water are now, but obviously for low water and from high water, we'll say you're talking. There's what we call it a 6 metre tide, which is 18. We'll say 2.2 20 foot tide. Mm-hmm. So they call it. It's we'll say at the highest water mark. It's at 20 feet, so you have 20 foot water,
Okay.
And they're growing nowadays. You didn't see them when we were fishing so much, but there's 7.2, 7.3 tides now, which are huge.
Okay.
Which you didn't have before, They're usually 6.1, 6.2. They were considered very high tides one time.
Right.
But obviously, with globalization, I suppose, and whatever it is now, the seas are rising, so rivers are rising with them,
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems to be. To be the case. Yeah.
And so that was fine. Then you started off doing your fishing, and did you always do the net, or did you get other jobs?
Well, as I would say, you're either rowing or you're fishing. It's one or the other. So as you were getting older, once you hit the 15, 16, 17, you were strong enough to row the boat in at that stage.
Okay.
So depending on who, we'll say when I was with my father, now we used to swap. He'd do the net, or I'd always start with the net and he'd do the rowing. And vice versa then as the day would go on, just for the sake of changing over, whereas Willie Keys, who my father fished with nearly all his life, was happy to stay on the oars all day long.
Right.
That he rather doing that than he did the net.
Okay.
But that was just the way it was. They weren't the only two people I fished with. I fished with loads of people down there over the years,
Okay.
We used to do some, at the end, we'll say close towards the end of it, I used to do some shore fishing, which is a different type of fishing altogether.
Right.
Shore fishing, you have someone on the bank all the time, on one end of the net, and then what you have is he's walking what they call walk the mud. He walks the mud for a certain distance, maybe 100 yards, 150 yards thereabout, and there's two lads then, or sometimes only one, will go out and they'll take the boat out, and it goes around in a circular shape, and you haul your net in then, and you, if you're lucky enough for fish, you take them out. If you haven't, then you remake it up again, and you do the same circle again and down again. And that was the shore fishing. Yeah, harder work, a lot more involved in it because you.
In terms of physical strength?
Yeah, it was mud. You were walking mud, so you were up to your knees all the time in mud, like. So, depending on what part of the river that you were on, some of it was hard, more of it was soft, and you could hit a soft spot, you know. So it was physically more demanding. So it was, yeah, physically more demanding, and you had less time on the river then as well because you were governed by the tides. Whereas in the drift fishing, you could kind of stay on the river all day long if you wish, because you were just drifting with it, you know.
So how long would you be shore fishing for?
Shore fishing we used to do maybe the last 2 hours of the going tide, but you'd only get about 2.5-3 hours of the coming tide, because it would with the shore fishing you had to be after once the mud was covered. There's kind of a law. There's a law or a rule there that you had to be off the river, basically.
Off the river.
Yeah. Once the water came to the sedge, as we called it, you'd have to take it off of it.
What did you call it when the water?
Sedge. We'll say this, sedge. Yeah. Or the grass line, if you want to call it. It's to be the same thing, like.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'd be off the water. That's there. So you had less time, and it was definitely, in my opinion, it was
Harder work.
It was harder work. Yeah.
Okay.
For less, it was also for less of a chance of catching, because the net sizes are different as well. You're only 120 yards, or was it 100 yards? I'm not too sure now. I can't remember exactly. Of a shore net, as against maybe 150 to 180 of a drift net. So understandably, you know, you the less chance obviously of catching fish with that as well, you know.
And is there a difference in the types of fish that you catch between?
No, it was all salmon.
Salmon.
Yeah, it was all salmon. Yeah, everything was. Yeah, that's all we fished for, was salmon around here.
Okay.
Mm.
And so you used to, what was not just your father and Willie?
Willie Keys, yeah, no, there was plenty of others. But say when I was shoring, I used to do the lad over the road. Denis O'Neill was his name, no relation. We used to do a good bit of it together. And Liam, I say Willie Keys' son Liam, we done a good bit of shore fishing together as well. Yeah, there was times down there, we'll say, where someone might be stuck for a tide or whatever the case is, and you'd go away with him for a couple of tides. You know, you were never stuck to get. There was always someone to go with, you know, or vice versa. If you were at home and you had nothing on, you'd go with them. Do you know that kind of way?
Okay.
There was always someone looking to go out.
And it didn't matter as long as someone had a license?
Once there was a license on the boat, yeah, and a nominee, yeah, we'll say a license owner, and the license owner didn't actually have to be fishing once he had a nominee, what was known as a nominee. So most people had the same nominees for lifetimes. The boat that we used to fish was Willie Keys' relations. He was a Christy Coughlin, I think was his name.
Okay.
But he actually owned the license, which was Willie Keys was the nominee on it, you know. So that was the way it was fished. And most, I'd say, Bar now would say, well, you had an owner of a boat, which would be, say, Peter Burns Blunner was an owner of a boat, you know, he owned his own boat, you know, so he was kind of always on it, like, you know, bar that, it was nearly always nominees that were doing the fishing.
Right, okay.
You know, yeah.
And did you keep the boat somewhere around here, Dennis?
Yeah, below at the end, you say,
where did you store them?
We'll say, when you pass back now, if you're going back to Declan and Valerie's now, we'll say, instead of turning left back that last lane, go straight to the end of the road there. And it's down into Corrie O'Brien's is known as the name of the place. Right. And the orchard it was known as the orchard. And down there everyone had their own little piece cornered off. It was basically pale and posts and a bit of tawny wire, basically is what it was. And you would have a little box inside in that where you would keep your boat engine and maybe your supplies and whatever the case would be, you know, and you'd have your boat in staked alongside that basically for the day out that you wouldn't be fishing. You know, for the weekends you had to take your nets had to be out of the boats for the weekends from 6 o'clock of a Saturday morning until 6 o'clock on the Monday morning. They all had to be out of the, you couldn't have any net in the boat for those hours. Okay. That was it. You had to be off the water for the weekends, basically, is what you had to be. So you had what you would known as a stake in within that within your own little compound, we'll say, or they called it a stake, and you put your net up on that. So basically, you'd have tubing like that, you know, and you'd run your cock line one side and you'd have your lead line on the other side, and you'd basically what you'd have, yeah, you'd do a bit of cleaning on it as well, take the seaweed out of it, take whatever grass or whatever bits that were stuck in it, you'd take all those out of it as well, you know,
Right.
while you'd be doing it. So you would. So yeah,
How long would it take to clean them?
you clean them in half an hour. It wasn't so big a job. Once you two fellas working on it wasn't a big job at all. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So just the, what you call it, were a bit more awkward, alright. The shore nets, because they were deeper. Shore nets are a deeper knit than the drift.
Right.
The drift nets are 60 meshes deep, and the shore nets are 120 meshes deep.
Okay. And where did you get these nets? Where did all this come from?
Oh, sure, it's going on for, fishing is going on for, I don't know, hundreds of years, like, you know, I say down here, I don't know exactly, I say, the likes of Peter Burns and them now would have, you know, a vast knowledge of going back and, you know, on the days for those, yeah, for the likes of that now. I don't know, you said there was different types of nits there at that time. There was nits called, hussy nits they used to call them. They were kind of a hussy knit.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was another one, I don't know what the name, I don't know what it is. They were all there before the nylon came in. And they used to break down quite a bit actually. They used to say the same thing. They used to take them out of the river, take them out of the boat for the weekends as well. And when they go back on the Monday morning, they used to find that they were all frayed and they were nearly non-usable, you know. But the reason being apparently that time, the type of material that it was, it used to break down the sunlight.
Cool.
So that's, yeah, they found that. So what they used to do for finish was they used to put them in the trenches, take them out of the boat, put them in the trenches, and have them covered in water for the weekend. And they'd work away the finest dig in them for the following week. Yeah. There's another name for one now of a knit, and I can't remember exactly what it is. But again, I'm presuming the likes of Peter Burns and them would have that given. They'd have all that given, you know.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you just fish down here, Dennis?
Yes, it was from, I would say, what we call Cona Point, which is a point closest to Limerick. How would I explain it? You know, from here, there's no real way. To be close, and it would be roughly parallel with what you call it outside. You know, the where you're paid there crossing the tunnel. You know, yeah, roughly that point. If you go straight, you came straight in from the troll. It's roughly that point there. We used to fish up as far as that, which is Cona Point. But you could go from there then down to Ringmile. You know, Bay Castle. Well, they used to one time back. They used to go to Bay Castle, even, which is farther back again. You know. Nowadays, we'll say even nearer the end of the fishing, we'll say as we came closer to finishing up, we'll say Ringmile would have been kind of as far as you'll be going, and maybe even a small bit closer to home. But it was, depending on how many boats was on the river at the time, depending on where fishing was going, you wouldn't be going back that far. You know, Sandy, Grass Island, these were places you'd always be hitting around Grass Island Point.
Where exactly is that?
Grass Island is on the mouth of the Meg. It's where the River Meg meets the Shannon. It's a small island. It's known as Grass Island. It's actually owned by the Mill and Stud, which is just inside over the bank of it there. They're the owners of it.
Okay.
Yeah. And
how long would you be going fishing for?
Oh, again, depending on fish, and if there was fish there, you could do 12, 13, 14 hours of a day on the river, you know. The latter couple of years of it, when fishing was gone bad, when salmon stocks were depleted quite a bit, most people only went for, we'll say, the last 3 or 4 hours of the coming tide. Very few people actually went down for the low water anymore. It physically wasn't worth it, to be honest with you.
Right.
Yeah, it just wasn't worth it. Yeah.
And do you remember, Dennis, how much you get for fish, or what quantities you get, or?
I would say going back, we'll say when I was fishing first, it was a great bounty. You know, you'd have a fantastic bounty of fish. That time you could have maybe over the course of a week you could have 150, 160 fish over the week. Do you know? And it always averaged differently. Then you couldn't put a cost in it, because you had if you were dealing with the fishmongers, if there was plenty of fish there, the price was dropped to little or nothing. Do you know? So you were at the lap of the gods, would say, when it came to fish. If you were lucky enough to give it the first lot, where nobody had got into him before you might have got a better price than the fella that was last in, you know, that kind of
Right,
way.
okay.
And sometimes they might even take them off you if they had too many of them. So price wise you couldn't put a price in it because just it varied. It nearly varied day to day rather than even week to week.
Right.
You know, there was a fella when I say before, just when the late 70s. He was coming way before that. He was coming, I suppose, late 60s, early 70s. He was coming from Cork. He was coming from Cork every morning and every evening. He'd drive up from Cork and he'd take, we'll say, whatever surplus salmon they had around. You know, a fella would say the locals here, they'd hold on to them. He'd come on in with his ice boxes and the whole lot, and he'd weigh whatever fish you had, and he'd pay you on the spot. He'd pay you there and then for him as well. Like,
Right.
he used to come twice a day up from
And you
Cork.
don't know what his name was?
Oh, I haven't a clue what his name was. Now, what you call it again? Like Peter Burns didn't know. I'm quite sure would have had his name, and that information would be given from them, you know.
And the fishmonger that you were speaking of there a few minutes
Well, you'd have a
ago,
couple.
was
You'd say you'd have what you call him in Limerick. There, he's still there. Here on the dock road, just after Rennie Cusick. Yeah, Rennie Cusick was the big one, and there was another one there on Roches Street. Again, he's still there too.
Martel?
Martel, good girl, yeah. Yeah.
He's still there, yeah.
Yeah, they were kind of the big two at the time, like, yeah. Yeah.
And did they used to come out here just to look?
No, you'd have to go in. You'd have to go into them. They'd never come out. You'd always have to go into those and take them in for them. And if you were lucky enough, some I don't ever remember them going to hotels. But some of the lads that were fishing, they'd have a contract with the hotel, maybe the Woodlands or say the Green Hills or one of these places. You know, they'd have a contract that they'd take so many fish off of them every day or every year. You know, over the course of the season. And if you were lucky enough to have one of those contracts, you know, you'd have a great chance of maybe getting an even price from them all the time, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, I know we never done that because nearly I was into either Cusick or Martels just to go over them.
And what was I going to say to you now? Were you fishing full time, Dennis? Or was
No, part time fishing. It was you do nearly you do either that was it. In the early days, you definitely do. But say up to the time before I started working, going on to work when I was up to time of 18, you'd fish every day.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you could nearly say full time fishing at that time. And after that, then I went away. I done an apprenticeship over 4 years, and basically as soon as we came home, if the tides were right, you'd be gone again. Basically, you know.
Right.
Yeah, you basically would like.
And did you keep any fish for yourselves? Or
You would if you would keep a couple. Yeah, you would. Yeah. We'd always keep a free. We'd say we'd have 7 or 8 at the end of the season in the freezer. Yeah, that'd be the home house was never a huge fish eating house, you know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't 7 or 8 to keep it one for you.
Income?
Yeah, it would be kind of an extra income. It would have been. That's basically what it was. It was.
Okay. Were you nervous when you were going out fishing
Never.
as a kid?
Never.
Can
No.
you swim, Dennis?
I can. Not greatly, but I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say 80% of the people that fish down there could never swim. Yeah. I'd say safely, yeah. But you know, it was. I think it was more the fact that you were taken early enough. You know, you were taken down there early enough, and you were showing how to respect it, and you know, and how to look after yourself. And say, God forbid, if you fell in, you know, the first thing you do was to grab the net. That was the first thing you done.
Right.
Because that, for obvious reasons, the net was tied to the boat. You know, so at worst, either you would pull yourself in, or the fella that was with you would pull you in. You know.
Right.
So it was simple. It was simple mathematics basically. Like if you happened to fall in, catch the net if you could. Do you know?
Yeah. Okay.
And really, like.
And did you ever see or hear anyone fall in?
I did twice. I saw the same man fall in twice in 1 week actually, and both times it was he basically fell out on top of the net. You know,
Right.
it's easy laughing about it now at the time. It wouldn't have been a jump, but like you know, it did happen. Like it did happen.
It would be easy happen, I'd say.
Yeah, quite easy. Yeah, because most fellas just used to stand up on the locker, which is in the back of the boat.
Stand up in the what?
The locker, what we call the locker, which is the back of the boat. And it was basically the reason you stand up on it was to give you more height away from the net that was in the boat, so you could shake it out a bit easier. You know.
Okay.
So it untangled your cock line from your lead line, is what it used to do. So it made the net flow freer when it was going out. So it did.
Okay, so that was easy. And then putting it back in, then how did you manage?
Same thing, yeah. It was basically the same way. You had what we knew was as a pole. It was tied onto both ends. On your cock line and your lead line, it was known as a pole, and that was tied onto a rope that was attached to the boat. So that was the first thing in. So you would say the man that would be rowing the boat in, he'd turn around and face, and would say he'd face away, then he'd pull away in towards it. So the net would come right inside the boat, so you'd be hauling in straight inside the boat, yeah, and it was all the way in. So it was quite simple really, like, you know, there was no science to it, like, it was, you know, it was a simple enough method to do, yeah.
Okay. And was the river involved?
I know Brian was the only woman I ever see to fish down there. She's down at the very end of Newtown, and Aidan, she used to fish with her husband, Aidan. I think she fished with a couple of other lads down there as well, down through the years, you know.
Right.
Again, going back here, I think I saw her fishing once only in my lifetime when I was down there, but she did fish quite a number of years down there, like, so she did, yeah.
It just wasn't a women's job?
No, I think she was the only woman I ever saw down there. Right. Nikki Coughlin done a bit of fishing alright with her father, but again, I think it was kind of, Nikki would have been very young at that time.
Right.
And it was kind of more of a, you know, if it was a fine evening, I'd say Liam just took her out for the sake of just take her, you know, that kind of a way. But they were the only two women I've ever seen on the river.
Okay.
So they were, yeah. So it was mainly a male orientated kind of a.
Yeah,
I think
probably a bit of a social scene as
no,
well.
No, I wouldn't go as far as to say that. No, I'd say a total opposite actually. You'd never. The only time you'd have a social side to it is, we'll say, if we were going in for a cup of tea, was it depended on tides. You know, you'll say if there was a lot of boats going up the same direction in the river, obviously you'd have to wait your turn to go. You know, there was a rule in the river like that. You'd have to be let go so far before the next fella could go on out again. You know, so the likes of Glass Island was a great place for meeting. Fellas would have their own kettles, and you know, they'd make up their own bit of a fire there, and they'd boil a kettle and they'd have a sandwich in the bag, and you know, you could have 5 or 6 or 7 boats there together, and they'd put in there and they'd have a cup of tea, and as they were ready to go, one after the other, they'd be tipping away up along the river, then and tip away up, you know.
So that was really the only social side?
That was the only time you'd actually be talking to someone is if you got held up. If you actually got held up, you know, say waiting for a drift. That was it, like.
Okay.
And if you had a lot of boats then in the one area, you know, you might change depending on the fishing again. If the fishing was right good, everyone knew the best parts of the river. You know, where the best places were to, you know, the best chances of catching more fish and others. But if that was the case and there was a lot of boats and that, you might have to divert and go in a different direction. And, you know, okay, less of a chance obviously maybe of catching a fish, because we say on the river, we say you had what's known as the main stream of the river, the main channel, you know, and you kind of stuck to that quite a bit. Why, I don't know. You know,
where were the best places, Dennis?
Well, we used to call the North Shore was one, which would be kind of that would have been opposite Shannon Airport, basically is what that was. Grass Island was one of the main areas for both shore fishing and drift fishing. You come on up along then, you come into Sandy. Sandy was where every boat met in Sandy. Every boat met in Sandy. And you had 2 parts to Sandy, then you had the top end of it and the bottom end. Bottom end being known as just over the dirt. It was known as over the dirt, and down to Sandy Sluice. You come on into the tower, and from the tower up, then you had three different directions you could have gone in from the tower. You could have gone what was known as the Orchard, which was home. We always took it as home, because it was the closest one to it. You had the centre of the river then, which was now known as the Dirt. The reason being, there's one time when the ships used to come out of Limerick, they used to fill them with ballast, stones, rocks, all that kind of stuff. And once they get out certain distance out along the river, then they could let off the ballast. And it basically, there was already a rock farm there. There was a rock, you know, and it kind of got filled up a bit more with that. So you could never fish that on low water, because you need to get caught in tide. Yeah. But over a high water tide, you would get over it, you know. So you used to do that. And the inside one then was down what we known as the Green Light. That was the channel. You were basically following the channel that way, and all 3 would take you for corner points, you know. Again, there's different landmarks. If you stayed if you went from the tower up along, up along by the Orchard, next you'd have Max Mud, and up along from that, you know, it was known as Max.
There's so many places.
Oh, it is massive, yeah. That's what I'm doing at the moment. I would say myself down at the moment, just trying to remember all the different beats that were there, you know, and oh Jesus, there's a massive amount of them, like, yeah. And knowing basically where the landmarks are. Everything had a landmark. you didn't just throw the net out, you know.
Right.
There was a land, we'll say there was old fish weirs going back in the day. They were owned by, for the want of a better word, they were gentry owned, basically, do you know, or maybe the ESB owned or some of them as well. But we'll say when they were all taken down and over the years, they left stakes in the mud, which your net could get tangled in, you know. So you had to know where all those things were.
Oh God.
And you had to know how to get around them and how to work them, you know. Like one of the main, we'll say there was one from what was known as Johnny Green's Island. He was the last known islander to live on the islands, and that was out near Bunratty, the mouth of the Bunratty River. So to come around his place, you would be able to see King John, or the cathedral side, St. John's Cathedral, the spire and that. You would let off the net, and you were drifting away with him then. And as that was going out of sight, Bunratty Castle had to come into sight.
Right.
And if you lost both of them, then your net, well, you could nearly give up. You could forget about your net. Your net was gone. Like you were on top of the stakes. You were too far in, you know.
Right.
That was just some of the things that you'd have to watch out for, you know.
That's brilliant.
You know, like you had, let's say, to go down. There was out between Battle Island, was it Battle and Key Island? I think. I could be wrong in the islands. I think Battle and Key. You know, you were looking at Carrigrock. There was a high tree in Carrigrock that had to be in line with the green light in Sandy.
Right.
And then you could let off from it in, and that would take you out between the two islands at full drift. You would get out between the two of them safely, like.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But you had to keep those maps. You had to keep them on line, like. If you drifted inside or outside, then you were going to cut them on the two islands, you know.
Yeah.
And like they're all over the place. Like down, there was another one. In order to get out past the rock lamp, we called it, to go out into Sandy. It was a tricky enough kind of a draw. Now it was a draw that we used to do it, but you used to go back to the sluice to do it. And you know, you'd have to keep the green light. Was it the green light inside or outside? Or the green light outside Sandy Bay is what was known as.
Right.
To let off the green lamp, they called it.
And what was the sluice? Sorry.
Sandy's, or there was a sluice halfway back to Grass Island, between the Rock and Grass Island, and it was a long vein. It was basically a sluice gate, and you'd have to go back to that. You'd let your net off from there then, and that basically would draw you out between the Rock at Sandy and the buoy that was in the middle that showed you the channel. You were actually going out the channel is what you were doing.
Okay.
So, but you had to keep all those things in line with one another in order to get out. Because if you didn't, you were going to get caught in the swans and the rocks. That was basically it, like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
It did happen several. It did, yeah. God, it did. It happened loads of times.
And how much would it cost then to repair the net, or how would you do that?
Well, it depended on how much of it you could get back. We'll say you'd know fairly quick whether you were going to get caught in it or not, you know.
Yeah.
So you'd start hauling away as much as you could, and depending on how good or how lucky you could be, you might pull it off the rocks. You might save a lot of it, you know.
Right. And
if you didn't, then you'd have to ring. We'll say there was a place in Killybegs that we used to buy the nets, and there was a place in Cork Marine something. What was the name of something Marine was the name of it. And there was a crowd in Waterford. There was 3 places you could get them, you know, and you basically just ring them up, like, and they'd send you on a bail in it. Basically, that was it, you know.
And who repairs it then?
You'd repair it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. You'd have to cut out a certain amount of it, maybe cut down the ropes, and remount it again. Yeah.
Was that hard?
It wasn't so much that it was hard, but you had to be very accurate with it. You couldn't, it was every mesh is diamond shaped. Every mesh is diamond shaped like that. And you have to make sure you connected it into every one. If you missed one, it would throw the shape of the net out, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So it wouldn't hang properly. So once you missed, it wouldn't fish properly then straight away, like. So there was different types of that then as well. We used to use 4 7/8. That was for the pale season, and it was 5 and an 8 in for the salmon in it. They used to going back, we'll say before my time, they used to even use a 6-inch mesh because you were bigger fish that time. You know, there was no trawlers in the river on the seas or anything, so you could be looking at 20, 25, 30 pound salmon coming up the river.
And what was the size of that net?
They were over 6 inches as far as I know. And you used to measure them across the knot. So you have a diamond like that, so they pulled pull the 2 knots together then, and the distance between the 2 knots give you the distance of what it was. That's how it was done. So
there was bigger fish then?
Oh, sure, there was massive.
So when was this?
Going back into the 50s, 60s. Yeah. I tell you, no trawlers in the rivers. So It's only since we went into Europe that the trawlers came into play, you see, and once they came into play, then of course everything that was outside, everything that was big, and you know they took all them. It was basically the fish that got through their nets outside that came in then after that.
Okay.
That's basically what that was the way. That's the way it worked, and that's how it happened. Like.
Okay. Right. Okay. And then the pale season. When is that?
Pale season was always
Does it vary?
It does, yeah. It was going back at the very start. The salmon season started in February one time.
Okay.
It was February. Oh, that's the in-laws.
Will I move the car?
Oh, no, hang on there one second. I can just look for the wife to stand here.
It's just got out. Sorry about that, Dennis. I'm probably interrupting.
No, it was a weather different event. You're fine.
Thank you.
Not at all.
So we're just talking about, you were going to say when the pale season was?
Pale season came in kind of in May and June. We'll say were the main months for the pale. The fishing kind of everything went back to May for finish. Seasons got shorter, so the salmon seasons are actually were taken off of them, you know.
Right.
As the years went on. I remember my own fella fishing before I'd say the salmon seasons. I'd say they were gone by the mid-70s. I'd say which is February, March. Those two months. I think they held on to April for a little bit. After that, and then even April went as the years went on. You know, so the whole season there was no actual one. There was no paid. There was no season for salmon. And it was all one season for finish.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was from May. Until. It was from May until July. I finished up. That's the way I finished up.
Okay. And would anyone be fishing outside of these times then?
No. That was the seasons. No,
Yes.
they were the seasons, and that was it. Yeah. It's not that there was no point. I'm quite sure there was salmon going up the rivers all the time, but you were governed by the government. They were the times they give you, like.
Right.
You know, because they kept shortening down the season. It was basically what it was. You the demise of the salmon on the rivers. So basically what they were saying is that you couldn't keep fishing. you couldn't keep fishing it the way it was intensely being fished, you know. So they had to something had to give. So they basically said they were looking to take the likes of the fishermen off of the rivers, you know. So in my opinion, and definitely the opinion of any fishermen that you'll talk to around here, they took the wrong people off the rivers. You know, I'll say it was outside the mouth of the Shannon where you had a fella with 20 miles of a net. He was the man that was causing the damage, you know.
Yeah.
And then after that, then you would say there was no regulations on farming at that time.
Yeah.
So you had slurry, and you had we'll say just slurry content. You had the industrial fertilizers. All those things were going into the small streams, and it was up in those areas. Definitely, in my opinion, that caused the major problems. We'll say with spawning of salmon in the whole lot, you know. And we'll say you had the ESB then had of course one of the biggest fish farms of the whole lot in Ardcusha.
Right.
You know, where they spawned the fish themselves above there, and you know, that was a massive change. Like, you know, there was a massive change in that. A lot of fish in the Mulcair, same thing. There was thousands of salmon killed above in the Mulcair through slurry and through you know, all the likes of that, you know. And those things caused a greater problem, I think, than the fishing that we were doing below, you know. And even we'll say, I think we were a bit slow ourselves as fishermen to let it go. I think we let it go too easy.
Did you?
I think we did. I think from a historical point of view, okay, everyone knew the drift fishing. You can drift any part of the river. We'll say, you're right. You know, there was nothing stopping you. If you really wanted to, you could have drifted all the way down to Fines, Ballylongford, the whole way down if you wished. There was nothing to stop you doing that, you know. But we'll say the likes of the shore fishing, we'll say in our area here from Coona Point down as far as Ringwine, there was only 3 parts of the river that you can actually shore. You know, so our 3, we'll say, it's probably wrong of me to say it was the only 3 parts you could shore, but it was only 3 parts that we did shore.
What were they?
We'll say that would have been Grass Island, Sandy, and then what was known as the North Shore. They were the only 3 places that we used to shore fish.
Okay.
And realistically, I think we should have pushed harder to hold on to that for the sake of just for a historical point of view, because no, as I'm saying, you know, you've only got 3 parts of the river that you could do it. Your nets were smaller,
yeah,
were only 120 yards long, you know, and it would definitely have done nothing to the ecological part of the salmon fishing or the salmon's cycle. Definitely wouldn't have harmed that, and plus the fact it would have kept the historical part of way of life in Newtown and on the Shannon alive. You know, you'll still be able to see it. And you know, I think most people that you'll talk to, and the rest of the girls that are working with you, you'll find that'll come out quite a bit. I think that'll come out quite a bit. You know.
Yeah. You
know, it's a pity. It's a pity. Definitely, there was nobody looked into the historical side of it.
At all.
As to what was, you know, you just get rid of it. It's gone. Yeah. It's a way of life. Which what about it? It's gone.
Do you think that you'll get the licenses back?
I wouldn't think so. No, I don't think they'll ever come back. I couldn't imagine they'll ever come back.
Right.
Definitely, the drift netting will never come back. That definitely will never happen. If you were lucky enough to get a couple of shore nets, you would want an extremely good minister.
Yeah.
And he'd want to have a fair lobbying behind him before it would ever come back, I'd imagine.
Okay.
Do you know?
Yeah.
It's not like you definitely just won't get it back on a historical point of view, you know, because the salmon are still dwindling. You know, they're still.
But it's not.
The stocks, not at all. No,
wider.
Not at all. It's a wider thing completely. Yeah, it's absolutely.
It's a pity though. Isn't
Yeah, it is massively disappointing. Yeah.
Did you get offered compensation or anything?
There was compensation offered to anyone that wanted it. There was the likes of ourselves now who were only will say who were working the boat. There was no offer of compensation to us. You had to be an owner of a boat to get compensation.
Right.
And it was up to the owner then as to whether he wanted to split that cash with the people that worked for him or keep it for himself. And to be quite honest, I think it's definitely 50-50, if not 60-40, the people didn't take the compensation.
Right.
They're hoping that maybe somewhere down the line, by not taking it, that they might get something back, or they might get a license of some sort back, you know. So yeah, that's and probably rightly so not to take it as well, you know. If nothing else, it gives a small bit of an insight into the people's what shall I say?
That it's a community thing?
Yeah, yes. Just an individual thing. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
You mentioned weirs there a minute ago. Were there many or?
There was quite a few, yeah, all the way down the river. Again, the likes of Peter Burns now, he has ferocious knowledge of roads.
Right.
Peter's 88 now. And he has the names of the people that owned the weirs, and he knows exactly where they were. I have a good idea where they are, but the names of them and who exactly had them, I wouldn't, you know.
So he has all that.
He has all that, yeah, that's well and truly covered, and I'm quite sure once you go back into those times, like he remembers those weirs working like.
Yeah.
So that'll tell you now, you know. So he'd have a fierce knowledge of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But Johnny Green was, as I say, he was the last islander to live down there. I would say he lived on the mouth of the Bunratty River.
Right.
I remember him quite clearly, like see him coming out on the river, you know. And you're there of a Monday morning, you'd often pass down Johnny, and he'd be saluting you, and he'd give you the thumbs up that there was fish there, he'd give the thumbs down that there was not, and you could nearly always take it for granted, you know.
Yeah.
If he said they weren't there, you know.
Right.
And that was the way it went, yeah.
Okay.
It was he was a fierce character.
Have you any other funny stories?
You wouldn't have a whole pile of funny stories now, you know. There was no such thing as mobile phones, right? It was said later in there was alright. When we started fishing first, there was no such thing as mobile phones. If you were down on the North Shore, which is out near Ringmile, and you were coming up and the wind picked up, well, it was easier to go into Johnny Green's Island and stay there than to take a chance of coming across the river, you know.
Right.
So you could have to wait it out maybe half a tide. You might have to go through full tide before you'd leave his place, you know.
And how long would that be?
That could be 6 or 8 hours, like, do you know. And in fairness to him, you'd always get a cup of tea off him, you know, and you'd always get a story off him, or, you know, it was a kind of spot, and you'd never know there was a storm outside you. Whatever way, he had a small little cottage there, and it was surrounded by trees, you know, and his own little well, everything was there. And you go into that house there, and like, you'd never know there was a storm outside you, you'd never know it. Yeah. It was the final place to go.
He's obviously passed on, is he?
He has passed, yeah. He's passed. He's not that long dead.
Right.
Maybe 10, 11 years dead, you know, but not a whole pile, you know.
Right.
Again, he'd be well known now on the historical side of, we'll say, history of Limerick and that kind of thing. You know, he'd be well known for it. Yeah. They were known as the lighthouse keeper. They used to keep the lamps going. When the lamps were, before they turned into electrics, they used to have to row out every night and light the eye lamps for the boats coming up. Like.
And what time was that? What
I suppose coming on for dusk of the evening, I suppose, you know. You know, I don't know when they changed over from, we'll say, whenever electricity, I suppose, came in, they changed them over, you know. I don't know exactly what dates. Again, the likes of Peter Burns would have dates, you know. He'd have those dates now if he was asked those questions, you know. There's another man over the road, John Gavin. You named Mick Gavin. He's in Newtown, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Mick is Newtown. There's a man over there, John Gavin. I must give him a ring for you.
I think he's been interviewed.
Has he been done?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can check that.
Yeah, John would have a great knowledge as well. John is late 70s as well, you know, and he'd have a great knowledge and stuff as well, like, yeah.
Brilliant, okay.
He would, yeah. We were all the latter end. We were kind of, you know, the younger generations of it, you know, but yeah.
Insight. So.
Yeah. But, we did get together there last year. We got as many of the people that are still alive down to the quay, and we took a few pictures of that down there. And
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Just a memorial.
We have.
It's very good.
So yeah, just try to keep it alive a small bit. You know, as I say, it would be great if you could get. Europe dictates everything here now, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Okay. The last thing I might ask you, Dennis, just anything about the water bailiffs.
Water bailiffs are there from as long as I'm around anyway, you know.
Right.
Look, they have a job to do the same as anyone else, you know. What can you say about them? Like, you know, it's the same as a guard on the road, you know.
Up and down much?
Oh, they do, yeah. Even today, like you'll still I'd be down the bank.
Walk away, would you?
Oh my God, yeah. They're on the river. They're on the river on a constant basis, you know.
Just patrolling.
Yeah, basically patrolling. Yeah. So look, it's a job, you know. That's what they do, and just we've down through the years when we were fishing down there, like. Never had any trouble from them or anything, you know. They'd come and they'd look for the license number, you know. You'd have that with you, like, and you'd have it off your head anyway. You'd know it off your head, you know. And we'll say that they just say, you know, is there any fish going or anything going or whatever the case is. Yeah. If they really wanted to, like, they could actually stretch their net out if they wanted to and check the interview and stuff, you know. But in fairness, we never had any hassles with them from that point of view, like.
Okay.
Yeah, they were. In fairness, they were pretty good. As I say, I could never say a bad word anyway. I'd no bad word on them. Yeah.
Alright, okay, Dennis, that's fairly it. Thank
you. Yeah.
That was a lot of information. Thanks very much.
Yeah, you'll find that a lot of this is going to be repetitive, like, you know, and that's just the way it is, like, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for
Yeah,
that anyway.
not at all, not
Thanks,
at all.
We'll turn those off there. Thank you.